For our NPC tutorial, we'll be using a random female NPC from Mixamo. You can choose any type of an NPC from Mixamo. I'm going to go with this character for now. I have already selected an idle animation for our NPC here, just so that they'll just be standing there. But you can choose any type of animation here, and then we're going to go ahead and download it. And we're going to download it with the skin, so we get all the skeletal mesh and everything as well. In our game, we're going to go to our content drawer, go to core, and we're going to go to quest system, NPCs, and we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to name this as Mixamo. And inside of here, we're going to drag and drop the character download that we just did. And here, I'm going to select these skeletal meshes, and I'm going to make sure that the skeleton is set to empty, and also import skeletal meshes is set to true. And then now we're going to go ahead and import, and we're going to go ahead and save all. Now we should have our idle animation and also the idle character. We can go ahead and rename this idle mesh to like NPC _001, and this is the idle animation for our NPC. Now we're going to go back to our NPC folder. We're going to create a new blueprint class of type character. Last time we created the actor class because we were not going to have any animation, but I want to create a character class now to show you how to add the animations and stuff. So we're going to name this BP _ NPC _ base. Open it up. In here for the mesh, I'm going to select our NPC 001 mesh. And we're going to move our NPC down about -90. And we're going to also rotate the NPC by -89. So the NPC is facing forward. Compile. And for the animation mode, we don't need to create an animation blueprint for this. We're just going to simply use an animation asset. And we're going to search for the idle asset and then set it just like this. Compile and save it. Now we can right click on this base class and then create a child blueprint class and then name this BP _ character NPC _ 001. And now we can drag this character NPC into our world, rotate it, and I'm going to move my player character close to it as well. And now if I go in game, you'll see our NPC is now in an idle pose. Let's keep building on this NPC. I'm going to go back to Mixamo and I'm going to search for a wave, and I'm going to select this waving and increase the overdrive to about 67, so it's a lot more faster. If I set it to 100, the character will be way too fast, so I'm going to set it about like 65 to 67. This is good, and I'm going to download it, and I'm not going to download it with skin. I'm going to download it without the skin because we already have the character downloaded. Once it's done downloading, in our Mixamo folder, I'm going to drag and drop our waving and also select the skeletal mesh. Here, our previous skeleton that we brought in for the NPC 001 should already be selected. If it is not, just go ahead and select it and then do an import, and then you will have your waving imported in. Now, what we're going to do with the waving is we're going to select our mesh and add in a collision box. Or actually, we'll do a collision sphere. And this is going to be our wave _ trigger. And we're going to set our sphere radius to something like this. Let's go from a top perspective. And let's make this nice and big. So this creates a nice little circle around our NPC. And in our event graph, we're going to right click on this wave trigger, add an event, on component begin overlap. We're going to check to see if our actor equals our player character. So we're going to do an equal node and then drag off of this, and we're going to do a get player character. And we're going to go off of our branch. Here, we're going to make the character play an animation. So we're going to call for play animation off of our mesh. And the new animation to play is going to be our new waving animation. So we're just going to drag it and then plug it in here. And we're not going to set this to looping. Now, if I go ahead and press play, you'll see the NPC is going to wave. And if I step out of the circle, just so that you can see, and then if I step into the circle again, you'll see the NPC is going to wave at us. But the NPC is not really looking at us. So we can actually fix that. We can drag off of our get player character and then get our actor location. And then we can just right click and get actor location. And this will give us the actor location of the NPC itself because the target is self. Let's move this out a little bit. And here we're going to do a find look at rotation. And the target is going to be our character. And the start is going to be this NPC. And this return value, we need to set it to our actor location. And we can use an event tick to do this. So off of our event tick, we're going to set actor rotation. And we're going to plug the return value here to the rotation. Compile and save this. Now, if I go press play, you can see that the NPC will start rotating to look at the player at all times. this is going to be a permanent look. So that means regardless of how far the player goes, the NPC is going to constantly look at them because the actor rotation is done on event tick. So we're going to use a Boolean to control this. So we're going to create a new variable here. We're going to name this look at player with a question mark, and then drag this in, and then do a get, and then do a branch. And here we're going to connect it to the event tick and also at true. And then when the player begins overlap, we're going to set this to true. And we're going to right click on our wave trigger, and then we're going to add in an event on component end overlap. We're going to set this to false. However, we do need to make sure that it's the player who is ending the overlap. We don't want a zombie coming in and coming out, and then that stops this. So we're going to just do this equal and also this branch node, and then paste it down here. Connect the branch to the execution and also the true. And then the other actor, we're going to connect this to equal. We will also select the wave trigger, and then we're going to do hidden in game, and we're just going to uncheck this so we can see it. So now if you press play, you can see the big circle, the radius for our NPC, for our wave trigger. And the NPC is still going to look at us, right? Because we're inside of this wave trigger. But as soon as I step out of it, and if I move, the NPC is no longer looking at me. However, if I step inside of this just like this, you'll see the NPC is going to rotate and they're going to look at me. Now let's open up our quest manager. So in our quest system, blueprints, quest manager. And if you go to initialize quest givers, what we're currently doing is we're getting all of actors of specific class, which is our BPC quest giver. And we're checking to see if they have that actor tag as quest giver. And then if it is true, then we're taking their NPC ID and we're adding it to our quest giver map. However, now we just created a completely new class, which is, this works great. We can improve this function a little bit more. So instead of just getting the get actors of class and then checking the tag, we can actually use the node get all actors of class with the tag. And then we can choose our quest giver as our actor of class, and the tag that we're looking for is our quest giver tag. Copy and paste this tag right here. And then we can delete this all actors of class, and then connect this execution pin here, and then the out actors here as well. We no longer require this actor has tag check, and also we no longer require this branch because this will result with only the actors with this quest giver. So now we can go ahead and connect this loop body to our map here, and everything else will stay the same. And now we need to take into account our completely new class that we just created, which is our BP NPC base. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to copy this node and drop it down here. And we're going to search for BP underscore NPC underscore base. And we're going to have the tag as quest giver. The rest of the function is exactly the same. We're going to drag off of our out actors, and we're going to do a for each loop. And for each loop, we're going to get the target's NPC ID, which we don't have that at this time. So we're going to go back to our NPC ID and add in a new variable as NPC ID. And then make this of a type integer. Let's make this instance editable and also expose on spawn. Compile and save it. Now, off of the array element, we can get the NPC ID. And we can copy this quest giver add map node, and we can add it right in here. And then the array element will be plugged in here, loop body here as well. And the return node, now we're going to plug it off of completed. And the completed node here, we need to plug it to this get all of actors of tag. So we can just move this forward and then connect this completed node just like this. So what this will do is essentially it's going to go through all of the BPC quest givers actor class with the quest giver tag on them. And then it's going to add them to the quest giver map. Once it is completed, then it's going to go through all of the actor class with the BPC NPC base with the quest giver tag, and then get their NPC ID and add it to the map. And then once that is done, then it's going to go ahead and complete this function. And if you have more NPC types, you can just copy and paste this and connect it to the completed, so you can initialize a lot more quest givers. So now in our content drawer, back in our NPC folder, we have our NPC base, which is now set up. We don't need to add any tags to this NPC base, but for our NPC character 001, I'm going to double click and then search for tag. I'm going to, under actor tags, I'm going to add in a new element. This is going to be our quest giver tag. So this way, our base class will stay without any tags. However, our child class is going to have the tag. So if I create another child class and name this BP underscore character underscore NPC 002, I can just leave this without any tag, and this character class will not be a quest giver. Only the 001 will be a quest giver because they have the quest giver tag in them. This is how you can use the same NPC base class, and you can choose which of those child classes are going to be quest givers and which ones are not going to be quest givers. This is going to be very useful if you have one NPC class that will share all of their functionality, but some of them wants to give out the quest, some of them don't give out quests. Next, let's work on the interact functions. So we're going to go to our viewport and go close to our NPC here. We're going to select our mesh again, and we're going to add in a box collision. And this is going to be our interact trigger. We're going to move this just about the top portion of the character here, and then also just shrink it so it's only right in front of the character. So the player has to face the character to be able to chat with them. So the player has to touch this box for them to be able to start chatting with this character. We can actually make this a little bit bigger so they have a little bit of room to stand in front of the NPC. So we're going to right click on this and we're going to add in an event and then do a begin overlap. And we're going to again do the same check as to if this is the player character. And let's go ahead and connect this to the other actor. If this is the player character, then now we want to show an interact option in front of the actual NPC for the player to select from. We're going to go to our content drawer, and here we're going to create a new folder for the UI. And this is going to be specifically for the NPCs. So we're going to create a new user widget, widget blueprint of type user widget. We're going to name this W_interact. Let's open it up and let's put in a canvas panel. And inside of this canvas panel, we're going to have a horizontal box. And and this horizontal box, I'm going to set the anchor to the center, and then the position X to 0 and the Y to 0. And then also the alignment, I'm going to set this to 0.5 and 0.5. So it centers itself right in the middle. Inside of this horizontal box, I'm going to add in a text. And for this text block, I want to use a function to say something like talk to and then the NPC's name. Just to give you a little bit more option, instead of just saying talk, you can just say talk to the character's name. This adds a lot more to your gameplay rather than just say talk. So to do this, we need to select our text block, and then we need to name this as interact_text, and then make this a variable. Next, I also want to show a little icon with the keyboard letter that we need to press to actually interact with the player. So I'm going to add in a size box to the horizontal box here. Inside of the size box, I'm going to have a border. And I cannot add a text to the border because it's a size box. So I'm going to wrap this size box with an overlay by right-clicking it and then do a wrap with overlay. And then now I can add in a text block inside of this border. And this text block is just going to read the letter F because that's what I want the player to press to interact. The color and the opacity, we're going to set this to black. So it's going to look like this. And now drag the overlay above the interact. So the overlay is set to the left side, not the right side. And then now we can select the size box and then do a width and a height override. And I want both of these to be 64 by 64. And now we can select our text and we can actually center it so it's right in the middle. And we can also increase the size to just say about like 30. So now we're going to go to our graph here. And we're going to add in a new variable. This would be our name variable. This is going to be our actual NPC's name. Make this expose on spawn and also instance editable. Compile and save it. Here, we don't need pre-construct or we don't need even tick. We just need to now drag in our interact text, and we're going to set text and select this node. And the text, we're going to format it. Drag off of this text and do a format. It's going to say talk to, and then we're going to do the parentheses. And inside of the parentheses, we're going to type name. So we get the name field. We're going to drag and connect this name just like this. So if the name is going to be saying like Christina or something, then it's going to say talk to Christina. Now we're done with this. So we're going to go to our NPC base, select our mesh, and then we're going to add in a widget. Here, we're going to add the widget to the mesh, and this is going to be our interact_widget. In our viewport, we're going to position this interact widget wherever you would like it to say interact or talk to Christina or something like that. I'm going to put it right in front of Christina's chest, just like this. So it's gonna say interact with Christina or something like that. And here we're going to name our actual NPC, and this is going to be our name. And the name of this NPC, we're going to define it in our actual NPC character. We're going to leave this to none for the time being. And now we're going to go to event begin play. Off of event begin play, we're going to create widget. And this is going to be our W_interact widget. And this is going to have a name. And now we can go ahead and connect our name here. And we're going to drag this return value and we're going to promote it to a variable. And this is going to be W_interact. This is the name of our widget that we created. And then we're going to drag in our interact widget and we're going to set widget. And then we're going to leave this as empty. So on begin play, nothing's going to happen. However, when the player overlaps the interact trigger, then we want to drag in our interact widget and we're going to go ahead and set widget. And this is going to be set to our interact widget, just like this. And now if you go ahead and press play and if you approach Christina, it's going to pop up, but it's going to be in a weird angle. So we need to definitely fix this. So we can now select our interact widget. And then on our rotation, on our Z-axis, we can rotate this by 90 degrees. So it would be facing wherever Christina is facing. And so now if I go ahead and test it, you can see that it's facing properly, but it's way too big. So let's go ahead and reduce it down. So we're going to use the scale here, and we're going to set this to 0.5. Compile and save this. And now if I go ahead and press play, approach, and you can see something like this. We can move it higher if you would like. So I can select our interact widget and then move it a little bit above Christina's forehead here. And if we approach, then you can see talk to none. We can fix this none by just going to our content drawer, NPC, find the actual NPC character name, which is our Christina name. And here you should have our default elements. We have our name, and we're going to set this name to Christina. Compile and save it. And now if I go ahead and press play, as soon as I approach this character, it should say talk to Christina. So the next thing that we need to do is obviously, trigger our talk to Christina function. So we're going to go back to our NPC base, and in our event graph, here we need to enable a variable, and this variable is going to be can interact. And set this to a Boolean. And off of event begin overlap, we're going to set this can interact to true. And we're going to right click on our interact trigger and then create an event for our on component end overlap. So when it's end overlap, we want to check again to see if this is the player character. Copy and paste this node down here. And if it is the player character, then we want to set our can interact to false. Compile and save. So now for the input action. So if we go back to our third person character input folder, IMC default, this is where we have all of our inputs. We already have an interact with the letter F, so we're going to use this. So let's go to our third person character, BPC third person character. If we expand this event graph, it's going to show you all of the events that you have implemented. And here we should have an enhanced input action for IA interact. Double click on it. It will take you to your interact function. Not sure if you still remember, but I will refresh this interact function. So when you press the F button, we're actually creating a line trace, and that goes and hits anything that is in front of it, front of our player active forward vector. And if that element that we just hit has the trace channel set to interact, then we will be able to interact with that element or the actor using the interface function BPI interact. So because we have already set this up, we don't need to recreate the wheel again. All we have to do is make our NPC work with our interact trace channel that we created. So this is a simple implementation. So if you go to your BPC base, select your capsule component, scroll down to where you have your collision settings. Under your collision preset, you should already see this is all grayed out, but then there's your interact collision response. And right now it's set to ignore. We just need to enable this. So under pawn, I'm going to set this to custom, so I can now go ahead and play with this. For interact, I can just click on block, compile and save it. And now we can go to our class settings, implemented interfaces, implement our interact interface, BPI interact. And let's go ahead and implement our interact function here. And in this interact event, first thing that we need to do is check to see, can we interact? So go ahead and get our can interact and then do a Boolean. Because just because the trace channel hits the actor doesn't mean we want to interact, because we want to only interact with the character when they're in close proximity. And if we can interact, then I'm going to do just a print string And then off of this print string, I'm going to do an append. And here I'm going to say, hello, my name is, and then drag in this name and then plug it in here. Compile and save it. Now, if I go ahead and press play, you can see on the top left, as soon as I approach Christina and I press F, it's going to say, hello, my name is Christina. And you can see our trace channel is actually hitting Christina. So our interact function is as simple as that. Now we are done with our interact function. While we're dealing with the interact function, I want to improve our interact as well. So if I press play and if I press F, right now our interact line is going through the player's neck point, and it can be a little finicky at times. So I want to change that. We're going to go to our third-person character, and in our viewport, we're going to select our interact camera, and I want to move the camera much more closer to the player. And also, from the top perspective, I want to add the camera to a little bit to the left of the player and a little further back. And now if I go ahead and press play, and if I look down and if I press F, you can see the line is a lot better, and it's easier to actually pick up things this way, and rather than trying to fire a couple times and hoping that you will pick it up, right? So I just wanted to quickly fix that here. Additionally, I feel that the interact trigger is too close to our character, so I'm just going to go ahead and increase in size so the player don't have to be really close to interact with our NPC. And also I want to be mindful of all the room around it as well, so it's not too wide that they start talking to the character from all directions. I want the character to be directly in front of the NPC when they're communicating. But in your game, you can change this to however you like. So now I don't need to go too close to Christina. I can just approach at this distance and I should be able to chat with Christina here.